In this afternoon, we are going to have a very special episode of Rose Developers Podcast, where Ricardo will interview Dominik Nowak about how to create a robotics startup. So let's go.
This is the Rose Developers Podcast, episode 122.
The Rust Developers Podcast. The Rust Developers. The Rust Developers Podcast. The Rust Developers.
Hello, ROS developers, and welcome to the ROS Developers Podcast, the podcast that gives you insights from the experts about how to program your robots with ROS. This is Ricardo from The Construct, and today I would like to dedicate this episode to all the ROS developers out there that you are listening there, and you are thinking about building your own startup about robotics. So you are curious about doing this thing. It's a hard thing, but you need the advice from the best and from the people that have already done it. So if that is your case, that you want to build this startup, then this episode is dedicated to you. Today, we are going to talk with an expert about building robotics startups, successful robotics startups. And so without much further ado, let me introduce you, Dominik Nowak. Dominik, hello. Dominik, how are you doing?
Hello, Ricardo. I'm very good, and hello to all of you listening to us.
Okay, it's been some months in the last time that we met. It was in Japan during the ROSCON, right?
Right. It was very, very good event.
And you were presenting this robot that you have on your side.
Yeah. So we were presenting Robot Excel.
Yes.
And Panther only on the banner. But Panther is our biggest robot, and this year we will showcase Panther on that event.
Okay, great. Then, so you have built a startup that builds robots, and another startup which is about software. So what can you tell us about the two robotics startups that you have built? Which ones are, and when you created those startups?
Yeah. So we have two robotic startups. The first one is Husarion. So the logo is on my T-shirt. And this startup, this company is specializing in providing autonomous mobile robot platforms that we sell to customers to allow them to build their own robotic products based on our platforms, but also many of them we are selling them to tech universities. Research institutions. So there are a lot of scientific also papers with our robots as main hero of them.
Okay.
So this is the first startup, the first company.
Mm-hmm.
It was founded almost 10 years ago. It was December 2013.
Wow.
Yeah. So of course, during when we started the company, it was something totally different than.
Really? What was it about?
So we were pivoting a lot. So initially, our idea was to provide users with hardware and software building blocks, allowing them to start to build their robotic creations faster. So we are not, specialized in, any kind of mechanics, but, rather embedded hardware, embedded software, and, cloud platform, allowing our users to start, building and controlling the robot over the internet in easy way. And this time we were not, let's say, ROS-based company. It was, totally custom framework, a custom, robotic framework, allowing our users to program these robotic controllers. Probably we will, talk a little bit more about our journey from, our beginnings to
Yes.
what we are today. Let me tell a little bit more about the second company, and the
Yes.
second company name is Husarnet,
Okay.
and Husarnet is a peer-to-peer network dedicated for robotic, industrial, and IoT applications.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows you to connect your robots, your computers, your servers, and even your microcontrollers to the single network that is, spread across the whole world. And the latency between each devices is, minimized. And also we do what we can, to make it as ROS friendly as possible, to make it work with ROS out of the box. So this is the idea behind the second startup. And we have founded Husarnet 6 years after founding Husarion. And the fun fact is that we have founded the second company the same day of the year as the first one.
Oh, that's curious. That's curious. But what was the problem that you tried to solve in the creation of those startups?
Okay, so when it comes to Husarion, so our initial idea was to help users in building the robots and not start building robots from scratch, because in the time when we started our company, most of robotic community started building the robots using boards like Arduino or something.
Yes.
And we thought about creating something more professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right now, when it comes to our current business model, the problem we are solving is basically to help our customers to bring the robotic product to market faster. So we are, reducing the time to market. This is the first thing. And when it comes to our, research and development customers, we want to provide them tools that will, allow them to focus on what they want to do, and not on, reinventing the wheel by, doing
Within the tools
yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then you have mentioned in this journey one concept that is very important for startups and also for robotics startups, which is pivoting. So you were pivoting from the original idea into another one, right? Can you explain to the audience what is this concept of pivoting, and how did you realize that you have to pivot, and why into that direction?
Yeah. So basically, you need to pivot to not to fall, right? Your end goal is to create the successful startup. And we, as a human, we don't know everything, right? We can have, some initial ideas, and then we can verify. We need to verify those initial ideas, whether we are, correct or wrong. And if we are wrong, then we need to, change something a little bit or a lot, to start be, profitable company. And this is also our case. This was, case of almost, any company on the world, right?
Yes.
You need to be very, lucky to, just imagine your startup, build it, start, selling, and your initial idea is good.
It's a
So
success.
in most cases, in 99% of cases, you need to pivot, and this was also our case. So our initial business plan, our initial model was not valid, I think, after 1 week or 1 month after starting our company. So
Okay.
this is the difference between your idea and the reality. So you need to modify your product, modify your business model to be aligned to the reality.
Exactly. So that's an
Not
important.
your vision. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So that's very important for you, the people of the audience that are thinking about building the startup. So it's very likely that you will have to pivot, as he has said, 99% of the times. So you have to be aware and paying attention do that when this is necessary. So, oh, this is a deadlock, but we have found this another direction. It could be promising. Let's go. And I wanted to ask you because one of your startup is about robotics hardware, and the other one is about robotics software. So, in your opinion, what do you think is more difficult to build? A startup based on hardware or a startup based on software?
Okay, so let's clarify it at first. So even if our first company is a hardware startup, most of our engineers are software developers, are ROS developers, right? So we are, hardware and software startup. It's hard to be, only the hardware startup. You always need to, remember about the software part. Yes, it is, let's say, quite obvious what I'm talking about. And when it comes to the second company, it's, as mentioned, totally, a software company. And to answer your question, building which of them was harder or easier. So basically, it depends. It is, not the general guides. I can, tell you from our experience, but, experience of other company might be totally different, right? But from my perspective, building the first startup was far harder than building the second startup. And the reason of that is not that hardware is a lot harder to do than software, but the reason of that is experience, your business experience, right?
Okay.
When I started the first company, it was my first company, and I was totally new in the world. So I didn't sell anything in the past. So I was, and I am engineer. So I thought that what I'm doing is very cool. So people will just tell me shut up and
take my money.
yeah. But it was not the case.
No,
Right?
that's not the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So it was far harder. I didn't had experience in hiring people, in managing teams, in selling. I had almost no experience in anything, basically, right? If you have no experience in anything except of building products, or rather technology, because creating a prototype and bring that prototype, go with from this prototype to the production stage is something a little bit more complicated than I initially thought. Yeah, but yeah, it was, let's say, the hardest thing. So the lack of experience, right? So I read books about building startups. I were attending some startups events. I were talking with other companies, other mentors. I were discussing with our customers or users, and during the time, during this 10 years, we have learned a lot. And after 6 years, when we started the second company, Husarnet, we consider ourselves as a quite experienced company at this stage, right? So we knew what to do to make which next steps, what do we do, right? So this is, I think, the most important aspect. And okay, so let's forget about business experience, right? Just from technical or organizational.
The type of product. So
Yeah.
let's not forget about the business, but let's forget about your extra experience. So let's assume that you now have to build 2 of them. Then, based on your experience, which one would you decide to build? A hardware one or a software one? It's just to provide your advice to the people that is listening.
Okay. Basically, there are advantages and disadvantages of
Each
two of
one.
them.
Yes.
Yes, so it's only my opinion, right? So someone can have completely opposite opinion to me. But I think building hardware startup is let's say for me right now might be harder than building the software startup. And the reason for that is, let's say, that the time you need to spend to create MVP, right? If you have your initial idea and you want to create a prototype that you can demonstrate to your customers, then in most cases probably you will spend more time on creating this hardware startup, this hardware product. And what's let's say more important, even you need to invest way more money to that, right? When it comes to building your software startup, and if you are a clever developer, then you can create your MVP in no cost almost, right?
Okay.
It is not just your laptop. And when it comes to building hardware, you need to invest for sure much more.
Yeah, but then you have the counterpart, or let's say the drawback, that selling hardware, it's a little bit, I would say it's easier than selling software, because people is used to buy stuff, physical stuff. But when it comes to the moment to buy software, that's difficult, right? To people to buy.
Yeah. So let's say creating MVP is, in my opinion, hard when it comes to software.
Yes.
When it comes to hardware, sorry, but when it comes to selling your stuff, of course, if your MVP met requirements of your initial users. I think it's, let's say, easier to create a small profitable startup when you sell hardware after initial steps like creating prototypes. You know how to do that, you know how to certify your product, you know how to mass manufacture them. You know that users are interested in something like that. Then I think having a hardware company is let's say easier to have because of let's say also your competitors, right? Because if you are a hardware company, you are building a hardware company, you need to invest much more. The entry barrier to create products, hardware product, is higher than software products, right? So I think it is also a very important aspect to take into considerations. But everything depends. You can have
it's true.
super complicated software that you spend 5 years together with your friends to create it. So there are no general answers. But everything is specific to the case.
Particular situation, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let me clarify to the audience that you can put your questions also to Dominik, and I will be, so they appear here on the panel of the session Q&A, and then I will be transferring your questions to him in case that you want to know more about what he's talking, or you want to have his advice for this. Then, Dominik, you were mentioning about MVP. You have said several times MVP. So what is, can you explain to the audience what is an MVP?
So the shortcut stands for minimal viable product. So basically it's a prototype, right? It's an early prototype, something very, very minimal that you are ready to show to your potential customers, right? It is not, let's say, in most cases, it's not a final product that you can, let's say, mass manufacture. But the idea behind MVP is, let's say, to go all in only if you are 100% sure that your product that you met, product market fit, right? Yes, because if you don't, if you omit the steps of creating MVP, and spend $1 million of dollars on production of first batch of your product, and then nobody, you may not be, let's say, a lucky entrepreneur, and no one will buy your product, and you are out of the business, right? And you have spent all money from your investors or friends or family on creating this first batch that nobody wants, and this is a very risky strategy, right?
Yes.
And the opposite strategy is to create low cost prototype, but prototype that is good enough to be shown to your customers, to learn their feedback, to learn what they like, what they don't like, and the best strategy on developing your product to reach a product market fit is to iterate a lot and make as quick iterations with your MVP as possible, right?
Yeah.
So you have initial idea, let's create a robot to, I don't know, bring the beer from my refrigerator, right?
Okay.
And then you create this robot, but your end users don't want to drink beer, but they want fruits, right? or something, and you need to reinvent the robot.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important to make this reinventions of your MVP as fast as possible. And the reason of that is your runaway, right?
Yes.
I mentioned that creating hardware startup needs investing a lot of money on hardware, right?
Yeah.
Hardware cost a lot, and you do not have infinite number of iterations you can do, infinite number of time you can spend on your company. You usually have 1 to 2 years after investment to your hardware company. During that time, you need to do as much iterations as possible, and make this iteration loop as as short as possible, right? To verify as much ideas as you can, and verify that those ideas with your users, with your potential users, with your customers. And after you are at this product market fit phase, even if your company is not let's say self-funding right now, it's way easier to have the second investment at this stage, right?
Okay.
So-
And
so-
you're talking about the investment. So have your company received any investment already?
Yes, we did. However, our last investment was 5 years ago. So for the last 5 years, we are financing our company from our revenue.
Oh, wow.
But
Excellent.
first years was much harder. So we weren't at the stage of product market fit. So in case of our company, it took us, let's say, 4 or even 5 years to
reach break even?
Yes, maybe rather 4 years to reach the product market fit phase, right? And this initial 4 years was super hard.
Yes.
Because
I know.
basically if you have sales, then sales is the answer to all of your problems in the company, right? And if you don't have sales, you need to deal with everything. You need to iterate with the product. You need to think about your budget, and it's very stressful, time consuming. and risky, right?
Okay. Yeah, and then there is a question here from BF Dev that says, how difficult is, from your experience, to raise investments in the EU for a robotics startup? So you are based in Poland, so you are an European company, and then so I assume that you have raised investment here in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our initial investments were from, Polish investment funds. However, when it comes to, funding money right now, so we are not in the, fundraising, let's say, mode right now as a company. We are, as mentioned before, reinvesting our revenue on, further development. We have, 32 people right now in our company.
Wow.
But when it comes to, raising money right now, I only, heard from, other startups, other companies that right now, it's way harder to raise money than, 2 years ago, for example, right?
Mhm.
So when it comes to VC market, it is there are phases, right? There are phases where if you have good idea, you will get investment, but 2 years later there could be the period when raising money is much harder, right?
Uh-huh.
And right now from opinions of other people I know, it's currently harder to raise money than 2 years ago.
Is it?
However, yes, it is for sure temporary, right?
Uh-huh.
I think 1 or 2 years, and there will once again will be much easier to raise the money.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's not only, so your product could be totally fine, you can reach product market fit, but you don't have luck, and the timing when it comes to VC market might be not good for you, right? So there are things that are independent from you, and you need to take them into consideration always.
Okay. And then what would you think that are the drawbacks of looking for investors or getting an investor for your company, for a company, for a startup?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically, if you can iterate with your product, if your sales is growing, but you are not 100% sure that you need investment, then probably it's a good idea to wait, right? To develop your product, your portfolio further, and after 1 year or two, look investment at much higher valuation.
Mm-hmm.
But everything depends, right? Sometimes you need to start scaling rapidly, right? To not be behind your customers, your competitors.
Competitor.
Yeah. So so everything depends. So it's hard to tell when you need to look for investors and not. But of course, the drawbacks of having investors is that it is no longer your company, right?
Mm.
You have your investors. You can report to them. You need to spend time on talking to them, and always it's a time that you could spend on talking with your customers, on
Yes.
your product, and you need to deal with your investors in the same time. So once again, it's not, let's say, 1-0 situation. It is good, it is not good, but everything depends. Everything has the two sides of coin, right?
Yeah. So we can say like getting investors is like a tool that somebody has in order to build his startup, and then as a tool has the benefits and the inconvenience.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, let me ask you one question here on the chat for you. Um, she says, so is Sotrik Matey that says, if you can provide recommendations and tips for working as an embedded software robotics engineer in a Series B startup for someone who has also, so this embedded software robotics engineer who has only worked in a large organization, and now I understand he has moved into a robotics startup. So do you have any? So the question is, he's an engineer. He's not thinking about building his own startup, but working on one, like for example yours, right? And then, but he's been always working on a large organization. And then, so what would recommend him? How much different is the mentality of working for a large corporation and working on a startup?
Mhm, mhm. Yes, I think it is a good point because working in a established company, working in the big corporation is something a little bit different than working in the startup. You need to have different mentality, I guess.
Yeah.
And everything depends on the specific person, a specific situation. So there is no general answer that working in a startup is better than working in a big company, because once more everything depends. However, when it comes to this mentality aspect, so of course, if you are working in a startup, much more depends on you as an engineer, as a employee. So you can you are not a little element in the big corporation that do not that can't do anything without approval of five layers of management above you. You can talk with your CEO directly. You can tell him about your idea, and if you are lucky, your idea will be embedded into the project, into the product in 2 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to big companies, then from your initial idea to the end product, it might take much far longer, right?
Yeah.
So this is the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, so the environment inside the startup is much more dynamic, right? Your startup can be the environment is changing a lot. So this year you can have, I don't know, 5 people in the company, and one year after that could be 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the company structure can not be prepared to such growth. So everything is very dynamic. There are not established structures, established management, let's say.
Less
Yes,
structure.
yes, structure. Yeah. So everything in the startup company is much more dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
and it is the advantage and disadvantage in the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
everything depends.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yes, the advantage of working in startup is, as mentioned, much more things depends on you, and you might like it or not. So it's just
Depends
the
on the
question to you whether you like it or not.
exactly the personality. So
Yeah,
I would say from my experiences, the difference is that in a large corporation, everything is very clearly defined.
Yeah.
So what is your position? You have to do this from this time, from this to this time, and then is this your job? It's clearly defined. And then a startup is also more chaotic. So maybe we are building this robot, but now we have to go and buy the sandwiches for everyone. because we are working, we need to present, and then you have finished your code, and then nobody else has finished, so you need to go and buy the sandwiches, and for as an example, that in our experience. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it has to be, it depends on you, on the person, if you like this kind of environment or not. You want something more structured and I would say also safe, okay? Because the startups, they are not safe by definition. So you don't know
yeah,
if
yeah,
this,
yes, especially low stage startups, right?
yeah, exactly. In early stages, yes.
Early,
And
early stage. Yeah.
early stages. And then let me ask you, come back to the point of the investors and the customers. So, in your opinion, what is more important, to have investors, or to have customers?
So I think caring about customers on the end of the day is far more important than caring about investors, new investment rounds and things like that. Because if you have, uh, as mentioned before, if you have sales, is the answer to all of your problems. So if you can't raise money from the investors, the best things you can do is to start selling more and start growing faster. So if you are focusing more on your customers, then you will have easier talks with your investors for sure.
That's very good one. Exactly. So your customers can get you more investors. And the other way around maybe is not so secure, so sure, right? Because you get used to the money of the investors, and then
Mhm,
you forget about the
mhm.
sales and so. And then want to ask you another question is about the concept of the market size. So why is it important? What it means and why is it important?
Mhm, mhm. Okay, so there are, let's say, two, aspects. Not only the market size is important,
Hmm.
but also your timing is important, right?
The timing. What do you mean
Because
by the timing?
by the timing, I mean that you can, let's say, start developing your product for a
Mm-hmm.
big market, but you have started developing your product too late, right?
Ah, okay, okay.
So your product is ready, you will have no customers, even if the market is very very big,
Yeah.
right? So there are two aspects you need to take into considerations. So the first one is the size of the market.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is the growth rate of this market, right?
Aha.
Because if you are, let's say, working in the established market, then creating a new startups for established market is maybe easier because business models of successful companies that are already on the market. However, it is, let's say, it's harder to create really big company in such scenario. So I think to create a successful startup, you need to have good timing, right? You need to be in the a big market and market that is growing rapidly, right?
Okay.
So if you have those if you do these three things correctly. So if you are in good market, on growing market, in a good timing,
Timing.
then you are the probability that your company will be successful is much higher than other company that maybe they have smarter developers, but the market they trying to address is not big or not as rapidly growing as your.
Yes.
So there are aspects that are not dependent on you, right? The pace of the market growth. So always it is, the matter of good timing. So maybe also the reason why our, initial years of existence of our company were such hard was that the market was not, mature enough for product we were trying to sell, right? And
Yes.
if today we were, we would, let's say, bring
The same
uh,
thing.
the same thing, but of course as a totally separate startup, not as
Yeah.
a, our
Yeah,
current
yeah, yeah,
startup.
yeah. As another.
But if someone would, build right now the same startup that we tried to build, 10 years ago, the probability of, being successful right now is for sure much higher
Higher.
than, 10 years ago.
Okay, then for the audience that is there, so this is just you were thinking about a startup, you don't know what. So here, Dominik is providing you with the idea. Contact him. Maybe he can share with you his idea, and you implement this startup, and then I don't know. So you can make some arrangements for getting this idea and doing it right now. I don't know. Just saying, okay? Just saying. Just providing useful information to the audience. Then let me go to the main products of Usarion. So the main product is the RawSpot. This is the one that the first time that I heard about your company was the RawSpot robot. But then you recently have launched the version RawSpot XL, which is the one that you have on your side or back. Yes, this one, super cool, nice, stylish, and is the one that we have been using in the cyber world. And actually, in the cyber world that the audience is using, and during the pause breaks, we are using two of your technologies. We are using Usernet to connect directly from the cloud into the real robot lab, and this RawSpot XL, that is this one. So my question is, what is the target market for those robots, for the RawSpots?
So basically, we are selling right now three types of hardware products in Husarion, sorry, and each one is for a little bit different market. So when it comes
That's
to
interesting.
so when it comes to product for which we have, the highest revenue right now, our, let's say, most popular product right now is Panther. So most of our,
sorry, we cannot see the Panther here. Can you move it a little bit? It's not included into the image, and I think it would be, yeah, the camera. Can you move your camera so you can point?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So yes, here. Sorry, we couldn't see because of the structure of the streaming.
Okay.
Now we can see it.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
Yes, I was not, aware that, my video is cropped.
I didn't know that there was something else because I only seen the streaming. So
yeah. So this is Panther, and Panther is a big industrial robotic platform that we sell to customers from agriculture, construction, mining, and surveillance sectors. Yes, so let's say most of the sales of this platform is, for companies building their own industrial robots.
So they serve. The target market in this case is for other companies that want to build bigger robots, and they want to have already the base robust and good mobile base as the base of their robot.
Yeah, definitely. So this is basically the base for their own products.
For their own products, exactly.
Yeah, and the way we are, usually selling those platforms to customers. So at first, our customer is, is buying one or two platforms like that. Then this customer. In many times also our customers are startup, not only but also we have startups among our customers, so they are developing their own products based on that platform, and after they start selling their product, then we are, start selling them also much more platforms, right? So this is, the business model we have. So we help companies in building their own heavy duty, outdoor robots based on Panther. Not only by providing the hardware, but also on our GitHub and on our, documentation, you will find a lot of, open source examples, tutorials showing our customers how to, develop their robotic solutions faster based on our platform. We have also our first. So the oldest platform we are selling is Rosbot 2R and Rosbot 2 Pro. And you also have, one of them in your lab somewhere. And this is our oldest mobile robotic platform. It was launched 6 years ago, right? So we were, pivoting with that platform. We are, modifying, the electronic boards, of course, software and things like that. But this product, the first version of this product was launched, 6 years ago, and we are still selling it, of course. And this
is the one that I'm showing on the camera now, right now, that I have here on my hand, the Rosbot.
Yeah.
You cannot see unless you are watching the streaming.
Yeah, I have changed the tab, so right now I can.
Okay, great.
Okay, yes, this is Rosbot 2R, and this robot is dedicated for research and education, right?
Yeah.
So if you are looking for a platform to learn how to program robots in ROS, then Rosbot 2R is a great platform for that. So you can find a lot of, great courses on the Construct platforms about, using that platform. But you also have, you will also find a lot of, examples, tutorials regarding programming these robots in ROS 1 and ROS 2. So this product is for research and education. So we sell those to, let's say, two types of customers. The first one are tech universities. So there are a lot of, labs around the world that are using our robots during their, labs about programming autonomous, vehicles, about programming autonomous robots. So even our, ROS tutorials are used in those, universities as a, curriculum for the robot. So this is, let's say, the first type of customers that we have for Rosbots. But we also sell them to, research institutions that just want to, test different concepts that they have, and they don't want to spend a lot of money on, big platform, because, they can start prototyping their solution on this, small, affordable robotic platform. And if they are happy with the result, then they can, switch to something, bigger. And when it comes to Rosbot XL, Rosbot XL is something, in between.
Can you grab it? Can you grab it, please, so we can see it clearly?
Oh, it's quite heavy.
But you are strong.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, that's Rosbot XL. And Rosbot XL is, let's say, 2 times bigger than Rosbot 2R. As you can see, you can attach your own equipment on top of the robot. So this robot, in the same time, can be a base of your robotic prototype, of your robotic product, but you also can use it for research and education. So that's something you can, use in much, wider space of applications.
It's a combination of both, right?
than Rosbot 2R. But of course, it is not waterproof platform, so you cannot use it outdoors.
Outdoors.
Yes, rather for indoors applications.
And I have a question here from Rodrigo Gonzalez that says, what are some current technological roadblocks that are currently hindering faster development of your robots, if there are any?
Once more, could you repeat?
Yeah. So if there are any technological roadblocks that are preventing you from moving faster in the development of your robots, technological, I don't know, technological problems that if you didn't have them, then you would be developing faster your robots or the next one that you are working on. I don't know.
Okay, so right now we are working on 2, and we'll start working on 3 lines of new products.
Wow.
So in any point of history of our company, we were working on next generations of our products. So it's also a very important lesson to all of you. Then you don't need to, if you are selling successfully your product, you need to always develop the next generation at the same time. Yes, so this is the first lesson. And after you launch the product to the market, then you can so after you start selling your product, you need to make modifications very carefully, right? Because you need to support not only the customers that bought your current version of the product, but you also need to support customers that bought your robot 2 years ago, right? So you cannot do too much modifications to your current product, because customers will be not happy about using them, right? So if someone is buying something from you, they require the support for many years for the product. So you need always to take it to considerations. So even if you sometimes cannot see much difference for, let's say, when it comes to features of some products across years, the reason for that is the stability of the platform, right? So if sometimes it's better, instead of due to, let's say, much modifications to the current product line that your customers like, they are buying them. It's sometimes better to create a completely separate product line with much more features you want to introduce.
Okay, then we are running out of time. They're telling me here, hey, we are running. So I want to ask you a final question. So in your opinion, why do robotics startups fail?
I think what we are what we say will not only, let's say, will be not only valid for robotic startups, but generally for startups, right? I think the key concept, the key thing, let's say that the most important thing you need to focus on is product market fit. And the general answer why startups fail is they didn't reach the product market fit phase. And the reason for that is they didn't talk with customers. They were iterating with their product too slowly. They were investing too much in some things. So I think if I would tell you one thing, one lesson that everybody need to remember is try to reach product market fit as fast as possible. Yes, and iterate with your product, and don't worry about showing the early version of your product to your customers. This is very important.
Excellent, excellent. So we don't have more time. Dominik, thank you very much for this time, for your valuable lessons and advices. And well, see you around the world.
Yeah, we will. So thank you, Ricardo. Thank you all.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. And that is all for today on this episode of the Robotics Developers Podcast. Remember that if you like the episode, you can rate us with a 5 stars on your platform where you're listening to this, in the Spotify, iTunes, whatever. And then that's all. See you on the next podcast with a new lesson from the experts. And until then, keep pushing your ROS learning. Okay, okay, we have enough.